Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann, and with me today is other Neil.
Hola.
Not the Neil you know, but the other Neil that I know. And I just call him Steiny.
Yeah, that works.
It breaks it down. It does get confusing for people. Today, because I'm a shameless attention whore who likes to bash my ex, we're going to discuss both of our exes because we both have baby mamas that we do not necessarily care for.
Wait a minute. Is this only about one ex or is this multiple exes?
It could be. I just figured we'd hammer on the baby mamas because fuck them.
That's plenty of material there. Trust me.
So I'm going to give a quick preface of my situation. With my ex, I knocked her up like right away. Not the best course of action if you decide shortly thereafter that you don't like someone and want to be with them, because I was stuck. That's just the way it came down. And sure as shit, oddly enough, you know, when it came time to have that second baby, I also did not plan that one either.
That was the one I was most surprised about.
Well, you know, I like being my L inside of V's, so it just feels so good to come inside that velvet sausage wallet.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that, but if you have the opportunity to, you always take it.
So I spent $6,800 on my custody agreement, and we never even made it to the court phase. We made it to the initial hearing, and the best part about it is that we were in an emotional fucking war for months. You know, from the time that she left, when I find out that she fucked that other dude at the end of May of 2013 to when we got the decision, I think was like July or September of 2014.
That sounds about right.
Pretty decent timetable. $6,800 made it just to the final step before we go to court. And in the hearing that morning, she called me bawling and said, "Just call your lawyer and tell him to write up whatever and I'll sign it. I can't fucking take this anymore. I can't handle all this. All you fucking holding things over my head." Translation, she knew I had police reports.
Right.
She knew I was willing to throw down character witness to attest to her substance abuse and all of that shit. And I went into my lawyer that morning. I'm like, well, here we go. Here's where we're at. I've got her on the ropes. What do you mean? Well, she called me this morning. I told him, he's like, "So you think if we go there today, we can reach an agreement?" I'm like, I would be flabbergasted if we did not. And then I got 50-50 joint. I get him on my days off. I get him when she's working. And then we got right of first refusal. But that fucking agreement keeps coming up, and she's always arguing with me over this every other Tuesday when we're both off shit, or how many hours of the day on my third day of having them I should drop them off because I'm getting screwed out of days. Or if I send them up to the lake with my folks coming up here, she's like, well, if they go up north with your parents, I'm making up those days I lost on your days. I'm like, no, you're not. You wouldn't have had them Friday night. You wouldn't have had them Saturday night, and you would have been working Sunday morning. You're missing out on like maybe 10 hours. Fuck you.
I give her credit for breaking down the days and the actual hours, but what is her reasoning behind it? I mean, is it because she actually values the time that closely to him, or is it I don't know. I'm always naturally suspicious when it comes down to money and financials, and wondering if maybe she's feeling you're going to use that against her later on, like you somehow have more custody or you spend more time with the children.
I do spend more time with them, and she always
that's kind of
lowballs the estimation of how much time I'm with them, which is fucking stupid because anybody could write down times, you know, on a calendar and be like, oh, okay, I see how that adds up to. There's 168 hours in a week, and, you know, as long as he gets him 84, that's 50-50.
See, not to interject here, but that's exactly the situation that came down when my baby mama and I were going through the custody battle. Initially, I was the one who got a lawyer first, and when we went to the first hearing, she basically looked like a deer in the headlights. She had no idea I was going to come with a lawyer. She didn't know I was going to be prepared. I just kind of chalked it up to her just not knowing the game or not understanding what was going to happen. And we went to a hearing. We sat in front of the magistrate, and they came up with a decision. And they asked her, you know, everything that I had claimed, if it was true. Did I actually have him 50-50, my son? You know, did I have him 50-50? Did I pay for these types of things and all that? And she agreed in front of the magistrate. So they handed down a decision. Well, started talking. to her friends and family, and everybody was telling her she was getting screwed. She should get more money. So what did she do? She went to a lawyer, and they did exactly that. They broke it down by the hour, almost to the minute, and they were trying to claim a discrepancy of like X amount of hours for the week, and that's why I shouldn't have 50-50. And that was all based on money. She wanted more child support, and so she was going to claim it wasn't a straight 50-50, and if they're in that gray area of, I think it's 60-40, you end up having to pay a lot more child support if you have your child less than 40% of the time.
This is true. A lot of them are greedy little bitches who poop out kids and think that they've got a gravy train for the next 18 years to supplement their income, and that was kind of what I felt was going on with my ex, because I told her I was getting a shark of a lawyer, but she dragged it out for so long that my fucking first lawyer was retiring. We didn't get to court or anything before he retired. He handed it off to the next guy at the firm who did a fucking awesome job. And, yeah, she would get all this advice from her friends at work, like, you're getting screwed. Don't fucking take that deal.
Yeah, I could never understand how these people were professionals and could give her all the advice.
Well, what I don't understand is how many of these people are like, well, you're not going to get shit for child support. Here's the first thought you should have, unless you're a completely ignorant cunt. How often should the kids see you both? There's a fucking concept. Equal chance to raise your children. And you got one and I got two. So, I mean, once you're done, you got what, 8 more years of this shit?
9.
Okay, I got fucking 15.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That was actually one of my first thoughts when I found out you were having a second one. I'm like, ooh, you start the clock all
I
over.
know. I fucking had to restart it 2.5 years back. Sons of bitches.
Are you fucking kidding me?
But, I mean, how many times you had a series of stops and continuances, and her lawyer was a fucking cockbag who kept trying to tell you you needed to give her more money?
Yeah, that was the ironic part of it, is the lawyers she ended up getting turned out to be her brother-in-law. So I knew him by way of family functions and get-togethers when I was part of the family, so it was kind of an awkward situation that he should be coming to me and telling me like her financial situation and how much more she needs money, when I could just turn around and say, hey man, you look at my financial situation. I'm no Rockefeller. I'm making no money. I can't get by. But that didn't matter. He was just trying to get more money for his client, and in this case, my son's mom.
I don't understand how it got to be so commonplace for children to be viewed as a financial commodity. It's not even like, well, you know, they need their father and they need their mother, and if you're both decent people. No, it's, well, I'm going to have him this much, and you can see him every other weekend as far as I care. Well, you didn't fucking have him without me, you stupid bitch. I mean, you didn't just go there and steal a condom out of the garbage can and then finger yourself with it, because first off, we didn't use condoms. And secondly, well, it's not like I got just like Dixie cups of my jizz sitting around in the freezer upstairs waiting to make cumsicles for you to thaw out and then shoot up your own twat with a turkey baster. That's not how this worked. We fucked. We made them together. And I kept saying, like, why do you think I shouldn't get 50%? I don't think that's right. So you don't think it's fair that you get them half the time and I get them half the time, and they get a somewhat grounded, although broken family experience where they get equal amount of time to develop from both of our nurturing. No, not for her. And then, you know, and then she's got her fucking, the dude that she cheated on me with has 3 daughters of his own.
I'm just going to bring that up. Yep. He's the one who's going to be raising your children more than if you're not part of the picture.
Well, right. And they've been on again, off again this whole time. They keep breaking up and getting back together, and she's always like, well, I do love him. And it sounds emotionally abusive. There's been some physical altercations that he was hesitant to notify the authorities about. When it happened to me, I was not.
Right.
We'll leave it at that. I feel like I touched upon that in an episode where I explained that recently there was a period of time where we couldn't legally communicate.
Yes, I do remember hearing that.
Yeah, that's code for there was a domestic abuse no contact order in place where she could not contact me because I was the victim. But
so could you extend that further out?
I could have if I wanted to, but it makes co-parenting a fucking nightmare, having to go through third parties to talk about, oh, who's picking them up where and what time. And we couldn't text, we couldn't call. And imagine if you had to do all the same parenting with zero communication.
Yeah, no.
Zero.
Yeah, that does
and
not
you
work
had to have
well.
somebody else referee. And even then it's dicey about, well, can communicating through this person get her in trouble?
I don't know.
Who fucking knows? The law does what it wants. It's got all the power in the courts. They're a fickle mistress. And she ended up getting off on the fucking domestic and only getting charged with the disorderly conduct for kicking my car, which is bullshit. I should have had her arrested 5 years ago when she tuned me up way worse and was like spitting all over me. I mean, you transfer bodily fluids in the course of a domestic, it's a felony. So she would have been on felony probation, and she wouldn't have had money for a lawyer then. But, I mean, fuck. And here's the best part about this now is she had to spend her whole tax return on money for the lawyer. And she's also asking me for a $2,000 loan so she doesn't accrue interest on the lawyer money.
Oh, right.
And being the fucking idiot that I am, I'm giving it to her because if I don't, she's going to say, well, it benefits your children for me to not be living hand to mouth trying to pay this off. There's always some fucking hook in there where she's got to try to make it seem like she's destitute when she's not. She's a waitress. What do waitresses do? Underreport their income.
Exactly.
Bitch.
Well, I'm sure the part of the problem too is she's spending that extra income while she's at the bar or after work and everything else like that. But we won't get into those details.
Cigarettes, booze, weed, eating out at the bar she works at, fucking caribou coffee, to the point where she's been there so many times in the drive-thru with the girls. They learned her phone number from hearing her give it to the rewards talk box person. And then whatever she gets is like $7.
Yeah, but
a pop.
That shouldn't surprise you. If she's already got other addictions, other things where shows dependencies, you know caffeine's going to be right up her alley as well too.
So we still don't get along well. And if she were to go on a flight and it were to not land safely, I would only feel bad for my daughters, but not really. I mean, she could go jump in front of a fucking truck tomorrow and die, and it'd suck, but I wouldn't be terribly brokenhearted because we despise each other.
Well, at least you can know where you guys are at. You know what I mean? That's a nice, clearly defined line.
It's not, though, because she's bipolar as shit, and then one day we'll get along great, and the next day we'll kind of be okay, and the third day we'll get along great, and then day 4, fucking boom, the gloves come off, and it's, we're going to town like Buster Douglas and anybody who he ever beat the shit out of, which was just about anybody he went up against.
Buster Douglas?
Buster Douglas.
I thought he only really beat one guy.
I don't know. He had a Sega Genesis game, so he must have been good.
He beat Tyson, and that was it.
Wow, that's a pretty big fucking one guy,
Yeah, but then he got fat, out of shape, and lost his next fight, I think.
Your situation, totally different now.
Yes, but, as much as I describe it and I explain how we have come to a great working relationship when it comes to our child, with our son, it didn't happen overnight. There were a lot of those frustrations, a lot of those times where you just, literally, I would say to people, I don't want her dead, I just wish she didn't exist.
Right.
You know what I mean? It'd just be so much easier. Life would have been so much more hassle-free. And it sucks because in some ways I felt like I was supporting 2 households with the income, and paying so much in child support. And that's brutal. You get none of the benefits from that when you're trying to make that much money to support 2 households. And she was not helping me with... When I'd have to work. See, that was the ironic part. So I had a job at the time that I would work long days. I'd work 10-hour shifts. I'd work long days. I'd work weekends. I'd work every Sunday and like every other Saturday. So, naturally when it came my weekend to have my child and also my nights that I had him, sometimes it was a struggle. I'd work late. I could possibly not get there in time to pick him up from daycare. Or on the weekends, I'd have to try to find people to watch him on, say, the Sundays I had to work, or even the Saturday and Sunday I had to work if I had him that weekend. And she would never even help me out, never give me any help at all, when it was ironic that I was the one going to work, making the money to give to her. There was this odd thing where it's kind of shooting yourself in the foot. If you don't help me out so I can go to work, I can't give you the money that the court says I have to. So
it's kind of how it is, though. It seems more often than not, and I'm not saying that all single mothers are gold-digging bitches.
Oh, no.
It's a stereotype, and it's become a stereotype because that's the norm.
Right.
With the amount of hooking up in our culture, thanks to the internet and the sexual
Swiping
revolution, where women, it's okay for them to fuck around as long as they're smart about it. But how many people accidentally make babies? If you could go back 50 years and there were no accidental conceptions, there'd be like 1 billion less people on the planet, if not 2 billion. I gotta believe it's that pandemic, people accidentally slipping one past the goalie.
All right. Yeah. If it wasn't for accidents, this world would not be nearly as far along as it is.
So when I broke up with my ex, it wasn't awkward for any of my friends because they knew what a stupid cunt she was because we never really got along that great. Whereas with your situation, I was friends with both of you. We all worked together.
Yeah.
She and I much longer than you and I did because you got a different job. But it's like, it comes down to brass tacks. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't know if I should choose a side, or I don't know who's right and who's wrong. I was like, Neil. And she kind of like backed away from our friendship because she knew that I had a bunch of dirt on her and that I was closer to you then anyway. So,
well, I think you were one of the few people that had heard some of the crazy things that had happened while our relationship was devolving. The late drunken nights, me having to go pick her up, passed out drunk at houses.
her passed out at your house with her fucking... She comes on the couch at a house party and falls asleep on the couch. And I remember you come out of the bathroom and you're looking at me like, what the fuck? I'm like, she just passed out and her fucking legs are on me, so can we carry her to bed and then nobody the rest of the night has to worry about her?
Right. Yeah, she definitely had a reputation back then. And it wasn't just that. I mean, there was also... It wasn't probably to the same level that you and your ex had, but there was some physical altercations. And being a guy, I was always raised to never even once raise a hand to him. And so you take it. I never called the police. But there was a couple times where... One in particular I'm thinking of was a party one night. I had actually been out... hanging out with some friends. I came back. She had a bunch of people over. This was kind of as things were on their way down. We hadn't quite hit rock bottom, but we were getting close there. And I came home, and she was, just as you had described, passed out on the living room couch.
Of course.
Well, her friends were still up and partying. It was probably a group around 4 people, which I thought was odd, but my roommate was home. I'm pretty sure my son would have been in bed, but yes, nobody obviously coherent enough to take care of him if an emergency arrived. But so I came back, and the friends were still up, hanging out, and I knew a couple of them, and I was friendly with them, so they wanted to have a couple drinks, so I'm like, sure, why not? I'll stay up, and I'll have a couple drinks with you. Well, during the course of this time, they woke back up, and she was quite livid that I was hanging out with her friends. She didn't want to have anything like that going on, because I think she was afraid that they'd like me more than her eventually, which...
Can't imagine why.
Yeah, I think in some ways that's exactly what had happened. But so we were getting along, everybody was getting along great, but then there became this kind of drunken wrestle fest in the living room, right, between her and I. Now, on one hand, back in the day, it might have been considered kind of playful banter before going and banging the shit out of each other, right? Well, in this regards, it was kind of a little sexual, but also a little bit of tension there. I think there was a little bit of anger issues going on, at least on her end of it. Well, at some point, we were just wrestling around, and she got mad, and she tried kicking me in the balls. I kind of pushed her leg away, and she tried kicking me in the balls again as hard as she could. And I didn't take well to that, so I just kind of took her face, and I put my hand on the side of it, and I just kind of pushed her away. Well, that caused her to freak out. She flipped out. She started clawing my face, scratching my face. It was pretty embarrassing because I had to go to work the next day, and I had claw marks all over my face. So I had to come up with some excuse as to what had happened because, well, I didn't want to lose my man card at all. So I told my coworkers that I was at a party and I got attacked by some dude's girlfriend who had gotten into a fight. But either way, it was...
Good alibi.
Yeah, right? I thought it was a good excuse at the time. Didn't really think it through. But either way, it was, it sucked. And you were one of the few people that kind of knew that was going on. So I think, a lot of people that were just casual friends who knew the both of us didn't see that. They didn't understand all of what was going on. They just saw the fun party inside of her. They didn't see the slightly aggressive...
I saw it. Standoffish, antisocial.
Alcohol-infused rages she would go into every once in a while.
One time, I remember we were sitting there at the kitchen island eating, and we had some basketball game on in the next room, and we were listening to it. And we had just been watching it. She comes home, and she turns on Wedding Crashers. And I'm like, what the fuck? And you said to her, like, yeah, we were watching that. She's like, well, you're in there now, so now I'm watching this. And the best quote I can remember for this is you going, you have that movie on DVD. And she's just like, well, whatever, I'm watching this. She goes in the other room to get ready to go out for a night of hanging out with the girls at the bar. And this is at, like, the tail end, too.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask where this was, yeah.
And out of nowhere, like, we are talking, and from down the hall I hear, what are you fucking talking shit about me now? And I'm like, oh boy, what is about to happen here? And that was like eons before I dealt with my own situation.
See, the thing was, though, is I've had a few friends, you being one of them, have gone through a similar situation after I had gone through it. And it doesn't really even help you. Even though you saw me go through it, it doesn't prepare you at all for when you have to deal with it yourself.
If I was smart, I would have used the ambush with no lawyer idea to her. And I would have just had a lawyer serve her through a process server and say, here's the date, bitch. See you in court.
Right.
And I'd given like the smallest possible fucking window for her to get her shit together while we show up with all these goddamn police reports and all that shit. Yeah, no, I did not learn from that. But interestingly enough, when you talk about the somewhat angry sexual wrestling... I just want to point out that when I conceived my second child, it was a hate fuck.
Oh, yeah.
We were angry. And I think that's why her personality is so brutish and she's such a bully. It's because she was conceived
with hate sperm?
With hate sperm.
Hate sperm. Hate sperm.
Yeah.
And my oldest, we were just kind of fucking on the kitchen table and having a good time.
And that's why she's so much more mellow and relaxed.
She's easy like the breeze. Yeah. But in terms of it getting physical, I mean, there is a time when she came home drunk and high and was going to go back out, and I took her keys. I'm like, you're not going out and drinking and driving again. That van is in my fucking name. Because her van was titled to me because she had never had insurance, and to get cheap insurance, titled through me. So
another benefit she never probably fully realized until too late.
Right. Oh, no, I was, she wanted it out of my name because I was holding it over her head. And pardon me for trying to help you transport our child, dummy. And so I took her keys and I threw in the backyard. Well, she comes out after me. And she pushes me. She's like, you better fucking go get those or I'm calling the cops. And she goes to go into the house, and I go to walk behind her, and she goes to slam the door in my face. It's like, it's my fucking house. The mortgage is only in my name, you bitch. She pays a third of the mortgage and barely half the utilities.
It's a pretty sweet deal.
So I push the door open, and she falls backwards. And then she tries to push me, and I would have gone down the fucking stairs, all 12 or 14 of them in the basement, and probably broke my goddamn neck. So naturally, I shoved her out of the way again. And then she got punchy real quick. Real punchy, and she ripped my shirt off, and I was fucking bleeding from her, like, punching at me and trying to block him and shit. And it just came down to me having to finally slap her to get her away from me, and an earring went flying. Smack my bitch up! And then also the next more extreme time would be, I referenced 5 years ago, I brought her home, we went out to eat. She wasn't going to drink. I was nice. I said, fine, have 2 glasses of wine. 2 glasses of wine became 2 glasses of wine and 4 drinks and a shot. She blacked out on the ride home. I came to get her from out in the car to the apartment. It was December. It was cold. I told her to get out of my fucking car, and I pulled on her arm, and then she was blackout drunk and got real punchy and real kicky and started spitting on me and shit. And the neighbors had to call the cops. And stupid fucking me, I had a 3-month-old. I'm like, what am I going to do with the kid by myself? She's going to jail. I didn't press charges, and I should have.
Yeah.
But the granddaddy tail end of it was when I found out she was fucking that other guy. And I left the house to go to Target so I wouldn't murder her in front of the children.
It's amazing what Target can do for people.
Yeah, the retail therapy doesn't work for this guy right here. Right? Because I'm still thinking about how we've got a 2.5-year-old and a 3-month-old. Always with the 3-month-olds. And she's out fucking around. Bitch. So I took her phone. I came down to the basement. There was a struggle over the phone. She wouldn't tell me his name until I gave her the phone. I wasn't giving the phone back till she told me his name. And I might have chopped it in half with a hatchet.
Wow. Okay.
And then she might have said, well, how about if I take this and I hit myself with the backhand and give myself a black eye and tell the cops you did it?
Ooh. She was thinking.
She was a sadistic bitch. So, yeah, I mean, it gets fucking intense. And for people that are like, I don't see how anybody could ever be in a relationship like that. Yeah. If you love somebody, you can hate somebody. And you can't truly hate somebody unless you've really loved them.
Right. I think it's exponential. The more you love them, the more they just get under your skin and the more they drive you to that level of rage and hate that you don't know exists.
And it would have been a lot easier to kind of deal with if she wouldn't have been such a complainer in the bedroom.
Oh.
This is where we cross over to the other half of the topic right here.
Smooth transition.
Sexual dysfunction on her behalf. She has such trouble getting off. She has trouble staying wet. She would complain about the sound of that.
Oh, that like kind of clapping sound.
Yeah, that clapping sound. Yeah. She thought it made her sound like she was fatter than she was. And because of that, she didn't like to get on top. What the fuck? And I have to say, normally when your girlfriend's a little tipsy and she's like, do you want a blowjob? Do you want me to suck your dick? You're probably like, oh, fuck yeah, I do. Yeah. I love my penis being in mouths.
Right.
Who doesn't? Weird people. Crazy people. Don't like having
those
their
who
dicks
mutilate their own genitals.
Yeah, but we were not going to the Pain Olympics, either one of us. So, yeah, but then it would always, it'd be like 30 seconds of awkward neck bobbing and half-assery, and then she'd like come up and be like, okay, fuck me. And I'm like, what the fuck? No, you said you were going to, quote, suckle my ween. And I was totally all about that. And then now you just want to fuck. And what are we going to do? We're going to have sloppy, stupid sex because I'm mad at you and you're drunk and you're going to put in really shitty effort. Right. And I'm going to have to try extra hard because your pussy's numb because of the booze. And honestly, the whole thing's going to end with me going to the bathroom and jerking off after you pass out. or me finishing and telling you to get on the toilet and go squeeze it out. How well did that work for me? I was like, I can do better than pulling out. I can utilize the week after her period and the last 3 days before her period.
Yep. I remember researching that all the way back in high school, in fact. It was...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, baby number 2 happened because her math was off, the stupid bitch.
We've never talked about how intelligent she was, so I'm guessing math wasn't one of her better subjects.
I have a bachelor's degree and an associate's degree.
Oh, good for you!
She has a GED. That doesn't make her a bad person. It just means that I have more education.
Right.
I also have a much firmer grasp of the English language, and I'm a better dancer.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Doesn't really relate, but I just thought I would throw that out there.
I was just going to say, just to add one more thing to the list, huh?
Yeah, so it's always frustrating. Like, for me, and I'm not doing this to sound like I'm some fucking Casanova, I don't feel like I've accomplished anything unless I get the girl off in some way.
Yeah. No?
What's the point? Because then if you finish first and you're like, all right, well, I'm done, so fuck you. Well, then she's going to tell all her friends that you can't get her off, and you're going to get a reputation for being bad in bed.
I was going to say, that was one of my biggest fears in high school. I wanted repeat business, so I made sure I did my best to make sure they were happy.
And you went to a smaller school than I did.
I did.
And I went to a small school to begin with, so, I mean, the pool of available talent for you,
Right.
you really had to be on top of your fucking game.
Yeah, you didn't want to give yourself a bad stigma right away from the get-go.
It's not like you're going to the ballpark and there's 900 names on a punch-out sheet to elect who you want to the All-Star game. It's like, I can count on these 4 fingers how many of these girls will probably let me poon them.
Yep. And the problem was, too, in the smaller school is you grew up with these girls, too. So you had many years of thinking they were unattractive, or they had many years of thinking you were unattractive, all the way till you get to high school. So it was even harder to get them.
Yeah, anybody I went to
school.
school with in my K through 8 that went to my same high school, I was going nowhere near their vaginas.
Exactly.
Either I didn't want to or they wanted no part of me because I was kind of pervy and an obnoxious loudmouth. I don't know why they would have thought that.
I was going to say, surprised.
I always thought I was
Completely
quite charming.
surprised. So a lot of frustration. Did she ever get off? I mean...
You know, she
that's
did, and then sometimes she's like, well, I don't know if I... How do you not know if you came?
Yeah.
I could tell if I was on top of her, if I was getting her right about there. If I was rounding third and about to, like, charge into home and knock the catcher right off the plate.
Right.
She'd, like, straddle me with her legs around my lower back, and then she'd, like, move them up and down like she was trying to fucking climb a tree, like a lumberjack or some shit like that, or a bear. And I knew that I was almost there or it had happened. But, like, some chicks, when you make them come, you can feel their fucking intervaginal walls flutter on your dick.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So, women, if you wonder what it's like for us when you come, it either feels like nothing, or suddenly it gets a lot wetter, or it's like your vagina is kind of like a wave pool of pink fun just around your dick. You're like, okay, I know this is going on. It's not just always in your kiss or her saying, I came.
Many years ago, I found not to put much stake into verbal cues, just because I'm naturally mistrusting of people. But I've read so many things, or you hear the movies, you hear these jokes that how easy it is to fake an orgasm for a woman. So it's like, you know what? If you're going to give me verbal cues, I'm never going to believe you. I think growing up in the 90s has pretty much geared me to believe that women fake orgasms.
Well,
Left
thanks
and
to
right.
Meg Ryan and When Harry Met
Yeah,
Sally.
that did not help.
That was like the parting of the Red Sea right there for us to finally know what was going on in their head. Personally, I've never faked an orgasm. Never.
I did once.
Shut up.
As weird as it sounds. Yeah, I was just more tired and I wanted to go to bed, and the girl kind of laid there like a dead fish. But
Oh.
yeah,
Huh. That's kind of weird.
it was sad, really.
I mean, I've joked about it. I'm like, oh, my God. Oh, hang on. They're like, what did you? I'm like, yeah, hang on. They're like, well, you better not have. Like, I don't consider that faking an orgasm. So I was just like, got ya.
Right,
you know?
right.
I just wanted to see how you'd react. You know, like if you freaked out, maybe you're not the one for me right now because you don't trust me enough. I've pulled out enough times to know that I can do it and get away with it where they should feel confident. Like, if you got a swagger about, I'm just going to pull out, it's cool. You can tell if a chick is okay with it.
Yep.
Because she might be like, well, are you sure? Like, I've been doing this since I was 14.
Yep.
All right? I know how to pull out. So you just lay there, and then when we're done, I will be a gentleman. I will go get some toilet paper. I will wipe up your navel, and then I will get a baby wipe, and I will clean it up so you're not sticky for the drive home.
You're a real gentleman.
I am. I'm fucking suave. If a chick's gonna let you fuck her, and she's gonna let you fuck her raw, and she's okay with you pulling out, the least you could do is tidy up the jizz afterwards, like some kind of sexual Mr. Belvedere.
Yeah, I don't see the problem with that. It is interesting, though, you get them the wet nap. We just had the towel or the rag or the socks off to the side in the room. I'm thinking high school here.
Well, it's more of a recent thing, yeah.
I perfected that move in high school, the whole pull-out method.
You kind of have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you end up, not seeing your friends for the next 20 years because you were the one guy that knocked a bitch up in 10th grade.
Well, and I don't know if you can kind of vouch for this, but I look young no matter what age. So me in high school probably looked like a 12-year-old trying to go buy condoms at the...
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, that didn't go over too well. So we were a little embarrassed to try to buy condoms.
You're 36 or 37 now?
38.
God damn it, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So you're going to be 39 this year.
Yes, sir.
Whereas I'm going to be 34. So that's 5 years difference. But he looks young for his age. And at work, the inmates, they're always like, how old are you? And if I actually tell them, they're like, no way.
Yeah.
And some of the new hires think I'm only like 24 or 25. So I have to be like, listen, when I was your age, a decade ago.
Right.
What? No way. Yeah. I was born in 82, bitch. I don't say bitch, but I was born in 82.
You want to.
So, I fucking want to so bad. I'm like, listen, motherfucker. I know that you're 23 and you think you've got life by the balls, but let me tell you, the next decade, when you become me, and me right now, I'm like Timothy Busfield and 30-something, you don't fucking know shit!
Yeah. It is amazing, though, what even 10 years gives you for perspective and everything else like that.
I also used to have this move where I would keep old T-shirts I didn't wear anymore handy, and I just like laid on their navel while I was still pumping. And then right as I was going to come, I'd pull out and I'd fold the T-shirt over my dick, and then just like one quick wipe, and I'm done, and she doesn't even have to worry about getting jizz on her.
That's fantastic.
However, the caveat there is that you don't come as hard.
Sure.
Because you're too busy focusing on not getting jizz everywhere.
Well, right, and you're trying to get things prepared, so you're not actually concentrating on the orgasm as it's building up as well.
Which is why it's nice to come inside of you. If girls wonder why I want to come inside of you, okay. It's the same principle which a mutual friend of ours, who I will not name her, once asked me at a party, why do guys like to come in our mouths so much? I'm like, listen, here's the deal. If you're blowing us and you get us almost there, and then you bring us to it, and you want us to tell you when we're going to come, and then you just stop, that's sudden stop on a dime, orgasm over. All right, you ruined it. And I'm going to come only 1/3 to 1/2 as hard as I would if you would have just been a trooper and let me finish in your mouth. And then once I was in the middle of finishing, maybe gone up and down a few more times real slow. I'm giving tips right now. Fucking pay attention.
Right.
And then you can go spit it out. I don't need you to fucking gulp it down like a champ. I mean, if you want to do that, that's cool. But you better go brush your teeth because I don't want to kiss you goodbye afterwards.
No French kissing after that?
Yeah, I don't need to fucking get snowballed with my own load.
You've tasted your own self, haven't you?
I don't think I have. I'm never alone just like, oh, God, that was so good. Oh, shit, I got jizz on my finger for masturbating. So that's what that tastes like. No, I've never done that.
Okay.
I know what my cum smells like because I have this thing about weird smells. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's what my jizz smells like.
Pineapple or whatever.
I don't eat a lot of pineapple. But yeah, so if you make us come inside of you, it feels way better. And if you can come at the same time, which is a fucking art form, I might add, you have to really care about somebody to do that shit because your pussy is pumping that cum right up into your cervix. I mean, it's pretty much like streamlining the sperm right to baby city. So if you do it together, it's fucking awesome. I've been told, that was amazing. It's not amazing. It's fucking awesome, but it's not amazing. Like, I wasn't awestruck, maybe because I've done it before, but... Well, so yeah, you stop in the middle of us coming. Imagine if you were about to come. And then you were like, I'm almost there. And we just jumped up and went up and made a sandwich. You'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? I was almost there.
Don't stop.
Yeah. Well, you don't want us to stop. We don't want you to stop. We've got a Mexican standoff if we can't exchange jizz. It's going to happen.
There's an end result with sex. To go back to the whole coming in a mouth and no mess and everything else like that, I had the fortune of, I was from the age of 19 to 22 dating a girl that exclusively wanted me to come in her mouth and would swallow. So that in and of itself every time was fantastic.
Hang on.
We had no mess.
Hang on. I thought you told me you've never come from a blowjob before.
I have not.
Oh, so you would pull out and then get it. Wow, that's okay. Ladies, if we're pumping you in the vag and then we're going to come and we say, I'm going to come, and you want it in your mouth, for us to get up, if we're on top, and then get it in your mouth before we jizz, you're going to get it in your hair or in your eye or something. So we have to be on the bottom which if a girl's on top of you and you come inside of her, it can fucking hurt a little because it kind of pinches off the flow naturally. So you hop off and go right onto it. Yeah, that fucking would be cool. But she's got to be slick as shit. And then you wonder, how many fucking times has she practiced this to be so good?
That's one of those questions I didn't want to ask.
It's good thinking because I've asked questions like that. You know what it leads to? Heartache.
Yeah.
And a complex.
Yeah, and not
finding
being able
out.
to sleep at night as well. Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe not sleeping, but sitting there angry at your pillow, just screaming, just like, I fucking hate you, bitch! What did you tell me about that guy's big dick?
And I really liked her, too.
Why did I ask about big dicks? God damn it! You know?
Yeah, I found that there's really no value to be gained anymore at this stage in my life by asking a lot of questions about sexual experience for anybody that I date or see. I mean, it might be interesting to know, but sometimes you go down that path, you're going to find out some information you really don't want to know about. You know, like the weekend trip to Milwaukee or something with the 12 guys on the megabus or something, you know? I mean, there's just certain things you just don't want to,
An entire
have
baseball
to know.
team, huh?
Right, you know.
It's kind of like one of those choose-your-own-adventure novels. You can't go, oh, I don't like this, and go back to the point where you chose again and then switch to option B. Yeah. Well, in honor of you being on the show for the first time, and because I haven't done this in a while, we are going to play a game of Would You Rather. It has been, I don't know how many episodes since we've done this. It's been since episode 21 when Bergie was here. This is episode 28. So, yes, so it's time. And these are what I came up with 3 minutes before you got here.
Fantastic. I love it. Spontaneous.
Would you rather eat a gallon of placenta or a handful of shit?
Ooh, and I can't preface these questions with any clarifiers. Okay, I will go with...
Shit is shit.
Right, shit is shit. God, I want to ask if it was human or animal. That makes a difference for me.
I thought of that. I thought, what if it was like horse shit? We'll say it's human shit and it's your own. Handful of your own shit.
Recycled. Or some random woman's placenta. I would go with my own shit. I don't know how, but I would.
I would go with the placenta.
You going to season that up? How do you think you could get past that?
I don't know, but it's you got to just fucking chug it like a champ.
I could never eat liver or all those types of kind of bloody meats when I was a kid, so I don't think I do well with placenta.
I'm not saying that you have to be very neat about it. You could probably take the jug of the placenta and pour it over your mouth like Stone Cold Steve Austin with the beers where he just pours it in. And he's
just
like,
slamming them over his head.
And you see more going down his chin and his neck than down his gullet, so he doesn't get pissed drunk down in like 6 Steve Weisers.
Not to distract, but that was always kind of my gripe about him back in the day when he'd slam those beers. It's like, he's not even drinking those. He's not really that much of a hardcore alcoholic drinker that he's making himself out to be. But
that's
anyway.
Intelligent. It is.
Yeah.
Okay, so would you rather fall into a pit of thumbtacks or a pit of snakes?
Thumbtacks.
But they're not venomous snakes.
Nope. So I've been bit by snakes growing up. Catching garter snakes or anything like that. Those hurt way worse than just a little 1/4-inch long tack.
I never have. What does that feel like? Comparable to getting bit by a dog, or you got to compare it to
Yeah, it's even worse. It's almost like getting a deep sliver or something in there, because they've got long teeth that actually go in pretty deep.
Fuckers.
I mean, even though it's not venomous, it's a much deeper puncture wound, I guess you could say.
I was going to go snakes, but now that you say that, I guess I've seen Mick Foley, a.k.a. Dude Love, a.k.a. Cactus Jack, get slammed into piles on piles of thumbtacks. And he took it like a champ. So, yeah, I suppose you could just kind of shake most of the thumbtacks off. And they're like the flat push-pin ones, not like the big fucking...
Oh, with the big, like, finger length.
With the handle on them.
Yeah.
Would you rather find out your new girlfriend is a tranny after she blows you, or while you're going to eat her out?
What's the significance?
We'll definitely go... I say definitely, and then I stop. I would say after the blowjob.
I don't know, because then, you could be like, oh, yeah, she fucking gave me a blowjob. What are you going to tell people why you don't want to see her anymore? You're going to have to make up a lie, and if you have mutual friends, you're fucked, because someone's going to know, dude, isn't Beth a tranny?
But, okay.
No.
My whole argument is if you didn't know she was a tranny until the point that you went to go down on her, all your friends must think she's a chick as well.
Maybe not. Maybe you're just like you're like Squeak and fucking basketball. They're like, right? Dude, that's a guy. No. Look at the little upturned nose, the sweetest little Adam's apple.
The sweetest little Adam's apple, yes. I don't know. That is a good one.
You go down there, right, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna fucking eat her pussy so good. You pull on the pinch, like, dick. Oh shit. okay, I was not expecting this. You know?
See, I'd like to feel that, or think that I would have felt over the top of the pants first before getting all the way down to that level, but...
Well, if it's a tranny, they're fucking an expert at tucking it, probably.
Yeah.
It's not her first rodeo, you know?
Sure.
You're like, God, why is your belt buckle jabbing me so? Oh, that's your dick, and we're playing tummy sticks. Sweet. No, I do not want to play Ghostbusters with you and see what happens when we cross the streams. So, yeah, I would definitely want to stop there versus the blowjob. You know, comedian Doug Stanhope has this story about getting a blowjob from a tranny. They were driving down to like Arizona somewhere or New Mexico, and he's with his friend, and there's some chick like, he's got a gun and we need to get out. And so they pick up this obvious transvestite, and all of a sudden we're driving and she's talking nonsense. She's like, I suck both your dicks for $14. Suddenly it's like, well, what a pretty girl you have here. So, you know, he gets blown by him, and in the process he feels her digging around his pockets. What the fuck are you doing right there? And she was trying to steal his wallet, so he shoves the tranny's face, and then she punches him. He lifted up on the grab bar and kicked her in the head, and she got pissed, thumped him a few times, and ran off with the wallet. So as he's going home that night with his friend who was drunk, his friend out of nowhere just goes, you got your dick sucked by a guy. Where's my $7.50? Yeah. So he's got that story, which is cool if you're famous, but I'm not, so I'd be like, oh, God, how the fuck am I going to hide this? You never know. Number 4. Would you rather get shot with a BB gun 100 times from 10 feet away or double-aught bird shot from 50 feet away one time? It can be in the back.
I'm thinking the long-term damage from the BB gun is going to be less because it's not going to probably go as deep and puncture. So I would go BB gun. I can put up with just about anything for a short amount of time. So.
Have you ever been around at the old Circle Pines house when P2 and Nate and Scotty and Ricky were drunk shooting each other with BB guns?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
God damn, they love to shoot each other with BB guns. And I thought of that when I was coming up with these. Yeah, I suppose 100 BB gun shots, they don't... If it's like the CO2 ones, shit.
I was just going to say, how many times are you pumping it up? If you're only pumping it up, a couple times, that's nothing, but...
I had one of those Walmart handgun BB guns that was spring-loaded, and it looked like a fucking Glock 9, and I don't know how I never... If I would have got arrested or pulled over with that, holy shit. Because I used to wear it in my belt like a cholo just to be funny. And yeah, that thing was fucking real. And Neil, which I know whenever I'm with one Neil, the other Neil is the other Neil. Right. So I guess I'm going to call him Original Neil, and you're like New Coke Neil. Okay. So not Steiny.
I mean, in essence, that kind of makes sense because you've known him since childhood, and we would just work together a decade plus ago.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess I got to go BB gun because it's going to be spring-loaded. All right. The final one. Would you rather have a tiger lick tuna out of your butt crack or a bear lick honey off your balls? You are flirting with disaster in either scenario.
Depends. Now, does the tiger have a sandpaper tongue like cats do? Just think of that.
I didn't think of that. It's your ass crack, though.
Still, that's going to be pretty raw if that cat's really going to get in there for that last bit of tuna.
If it's a rough tongue, though, it's really going to get the tuna out faster. So I imagine it's not going to be like a 20-minute long Star Kiss scented rim job.
Yeah, they are pretty efficient when they come to food. They get the job done quick. I would still go with the bear.
It's your balls.
I'm going Northwoods.
I like that. Yeah, no, I am going to go tiger because I don't want a bear anywhere near my junk where it might just suddenly go, that's good honey. I'm going to take a bite instead of licking.
Or what's this berry doing down here? Yeah.
Speaking of berries, yesterday I was leaving with the girls and they asked about some kind of berries. I'm like, well, what about dingleberries? Because you can't have a mixed berry pie without dingleberries. And the oldest is like, what? I don't know what those, that doesn't sound good. I only would like blueberries and raspberries and cherries. I'm like, cherry's not a berry, but a dingleberry's a berry. It's like, no, I don't want that. Totally random. I thought I'd throw that in there.
So they're not down with the dingleberries.
They're not down with the dingleberries. Well, do you have the ability to think up one quick would you rather of your own?
Oh, I have to do it without using names.
Sure.
Yeah. There's a certain woman that we know that a friend named Ricky
oh man
had carnal knowledge of.
She's fat. And stupid and a whore. Okay, well, I see where this is going.
As children, though. Yes, somebody procreated with that.
Happens to the best of us.
Would you rather eat that for 10 minutes?
That's like kissing 40 dicks.
Interesting you said that. I was going to go somewhere along the line of kissing a penis.
That's like
Just
kissing
one.
Rick's
Just one.
dick.
Right?
Ugh.
In a way.
God, I mean, he's my hetero life mate. He's the Robin to my Batman, now my Nightwing. But I don't want to know what a vagina tastes like that he was inside. That's weird. Okay, well, what's option number 2? This is going to suck.
Okay. Let's say ride. Well, let's go back to the reference I was using earlier. What about a 12-hour ride on the Megabus with nothing but 5 prison inmates that all want to have relations with you? So either with Ricky's, this is terrible. This is
I got to eat
downgrading.
her fat tuna.
Or ride the Megabus all the way down to Chicago with a bunch of...
There's no guarantee I'm getting any dicks in my ass.
No, but can you fight off 5 prison inmates?
Well, first off, the first 2 are probably going to die right away because the first one that comes near me is going to get an unexpected Bruce Lee right to the windpipe. So he's already down for the count, choking on his spit, possibly dying. Second guy is going to see that and he's going to hesitate, and then I'm going to fucking gouge him in the eye.
You're not
And
Nick
then I'm going
Cage
to
from
punch
Con
him in
Air.
the throat.
You're not Nick Cage from Con Air. You can't take down a whole...
Do you remember that time we came out of Biff's with my ex, and I think Ricky was there, and that inmate tried to start some shit with me?
I remember him saying some stuff, yeah.
We came out, and all of a sudden someone's like, "Hey, I know you. I know you from this place. You're a big pussy. Yeah, you're just a giant pussy."
Yeah, now I remember this.
And I stopped, and I'm like, go to the car to her, and then all of a sudden, all you said is, "Oh, shit," and you just kept walking to the parking lot. And I turned around and stared at this motherfucker for 5 to 10 seconds. It must have been an eternity for him, because I didn't say shit. Because it was just the front lights were beaming on my face, and his back was, everything I could see of him was dark. And I just stared him down. That guy got lucky, because I was in one of those rare moods where I would have thrown caution to the wind and introduced his face to my kneecap.
See,
I fantasize about violence a
I was
lot.
going to say, do you ever think about the repercussions of these types of actions, though? Because I think not we all, but a lot of us have these thoughts in our head that we would do this or we would react this way. But when it came really right down to it, we don't act that way.
If I knew he wasn't going to fucking tattle on me for kicking his ass for having it coming, he's going to the hospital.
Right on.
He's going to be like, "Oh my God, I need you to fix my face. I think my jaw's broken." And he's going to go in there with a limp because I might have broke one of his fucking knees. I'm not saying this to sound like a tough guy.
Things you learn when you work in a jail.
When you work where I work, if you were a cop, or even if you're a paramedic and you deal with a lot of unruly drunks and shit, you size these fucking people up constantly so you know what you're going to do first if it comes to blows.
Sure.
And I'm constantly surrounded by as many as, at the most, 106 people on one floor.
Sure.
That's a huge housing unit. Or it could be as few as 28. Either way, if they wanted to come at me, I'm going to have to fight off a few of them. So 5 dudes in a bus I feel like I can handle unless they all magically caught me off guard. I'm going to do my best to go down fighting. So I'm not going to get 5 dicks in my ass.
You might just get one.
I might just get one. And if I can only take 1 dick and it's over fast, that's 10 minutes of munching her twat is a fucking eternity.
I thought it was impossible.
That would be like doing an army crawl over broken glass and hot coals.
Right.
You'd be suffering and thinking
In
about
like Death
all
Valley
the
heat
dudes
or something. Yeah.
And she's fat, and she probably doesn't wash good. So you know how bigger girls they kind of taste different and smell different. Not necessarily like tuna, but like
There's a sourness.
there is a sourness, and I compare it to the consistency of Campbell's cream of mushroom soup. Their vaginal secretions are somewhat thicker.
I was going to say, good visual representation. Are we talking the color as well? Color and
if you get them good
texture?
and frothy, then yeah. I mean, if you fuck the shit out of them and you're done, you could have like what looks to be just this big wad of cooter goo on your sack, like where your shaft meets your balls.
right?
Yeah, it'd be totally like cream of mushroom soup. I almost keep saying Dinty Moore beef stew. I don't know why. That'd be if you were going backdoor. That's a whole other fucking issue.
Oh, we haven't even had to talk about that.
So we're going to wrap up this episode right now because he's got to take Junior to baseball practice and pitchers. So, new Twitter for the show. It is at, what do we call it? that is for the show. I haven't started one for Blumpkin and Friends yet, but facebook.com/groups/whatdowecallitpodcast show. So, ending on a disgusting note involving cooter goo and soup for the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann, and this was Steiny.
Neil. Other Neil.
Bye!
Hey, fuck you, buddy!